What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the Hangout. This is the live stream I do every Thursday night, about 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we have fun. We let our hair down. We talk about comics, comic book news, and a bunch of other stuff that we love. Revolving around comics. And so, if you're here watching this on the replay, got to say thank you for checking this out. Like I said, we do this every Thursday about 7 p.m. Eastern. So, hopefully, you can join us live one of these days. And speaking of those who are live, I see some of you in the chat. Go ahead and give me a what's up so I know you're here. Tim says, "Hey, Kicks, what's up?" Mentor Prizes says, "What's up?" as well. C. Rook wants to know if the murder needs a hook. Listen, when you're Allen Iverson, your murder never needs a hook. I was gonna say your hook doesn't need a murder, but no, it's the other way around. Murder don't need no hook. Blaine says, "What's up? What's up, Blaine?" Oh, it's the Juggernaut. Skip says, "That's the right team on that hoodie, sir." Oh yes, of course, every time. I mean, I don't know, can't really tell behind me, but I decided to like devote a whole section of the room to displaying sneakers based around the Tar Heels because the North Carolina Tar Heels are my favorite college team and have been since I was like born. On the pro side of things, we tend to follow players. Like right now, I'm a Lakers fan technically because LeBron plays for the Lakers. But unless you got a hometown team like my man Skip and his number 2 seed Sacramento Kings. But anyway, around here in North Carolina specifically, we like to rep for college teams. And I don't care what anyone tells you, the greatest school in North Carolina is the University of North Carolina, at least for men's basketball. I think NC State's still better as a football team, but they're not repped by Jordan Brand. They don't get cool PEs. So, you know, Tar Heels. Anyway, we got a pretty cool show planned for you tonight. It's going to be slightly abridged, slightly abbreviated. I'm going to try to end this round about an hour, maybe an hour 15 or so, because my man Skip is premiering some new music, and I want you guys to be able to check that out. In fact, I should put that in the comments of this video so that you can check it out when you're done. But anyway, it's going to be a fun night. We're talking about feel good comics because I can't lie. I have had quite the week. And by quite the week, I don't mean quite the great week. It's been super busy, super stressful at work. Every night outside of tonight, I've had some outside commitment or some other meeting after hours. It's been a week. And I haven't even got a chance to go pick up my pull list from the comic shop yet. That's how much of a week it's been. And so I wanted to know from you guys, like when you're having a week like this where you need to just kind of like reset, refocus, you know, feel good, change your mood a little bit. What kind of comics do you read for that? So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, do have to give a couple of quick shout outs. So first, I'm going to shout out all the people that make this channel possible. And those are, of course, the channel family. So you see people with the all the badges next to their name, whether it's a Joker head or their Nightwing or Red Hood. I think they're Robin right now. But anyway, all of them, they through their donations help to keep this channel running. So if you would like to keep the channel running the same way these fine folks have decided to, you can click the join button down below, or you can give a one-time donation to the tip jar just by giving us a super chat or whatever. And of course, I'll highlight your message here on the screen. Another person that we've got to shout out, or group entity, the great folks over at Organic Price Books, JP and David and everyone at Organic Price Books. They are the fastest growing source for collected editions. You know what's fun? When businesses find like different superlatives to give themselves, like you could be looked at as the fastest growing or the smallest, depending on your vantage point, right? But anyway, the number one source for collected editions, great packaging, great customer service, great discounts as well. And at Organic Price Books, you know that they're gonna pay super close attention to you. And it's great communication and it's great small business based in the Dallas Fort Worth area of Texas, you can save $2 on every order you place on Organic Price Books by using my coupon code, which is the same as my name, BJ Kicks at checkout. If you're a big spender, big baller, shot caller, then you can use the code BJ Kicks, ship it together for orders of 3 items or more. You'll save 5%. It'll all get shipped in one convenient package, still a bulletproof package. So, anyway, check out Organic Price Books, and huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. By the way, lots of collected editions coming up in the next few weeks. So get on that. Get on that. So with all of that said, let's head back to the comments section. I think StreamYard was freezing them for a second, but Comics Joe says, "What's up, Kicks? Literally just got back from my LCS. Highlight of my week. It's usually the highlight of my week as well. I can't wait to get back in there." C Rook says, "It's been a while since I've been on one of these." Yeah, man, it's been a minute. Did you brush your teeth? Skip says, "Light the beam." Listen, man, it's such a great feel good story to see someone with a hometown team doing hometown team things. Number 2 in the West is insane. I didn't see that as a ceiling for the Sacramento Kings. Can't lie. And let's just hope that doesn't mean a second round exit. It probably, I mean, a playoff series win. That's a win in my book for the Sacramento Kings. When was the last time the Kings were even in the playoffs? Skip's praying or high-fiving about the Kings, I'm assuming. Let's see. What's up, Kevin? What's up, man? How you been? Blaine says, "No theme of the today is feel-good comics, but Daredevil and Punisher current runs are so good." John Bernthal back as the Punisher. Thoughts? I have been enjoying Daredevil. I stopped reading Jason Aaron's Punisher, not because it was bad, just because I didn't feel like I needed to follow it month to month. But the slow build in Daredevil of this fight between Daredevil and Punisher, and we finally got some payoff in the last issue of Daredevil, number 8, I believe, makes me want to read the Frank Castle side of things. I can't even lie. But yes, both very good. As far as John Bernthal, this is the part where I tell you I've never, ever seen that Punisher series from, was it Netflix? Never seen it. In fact, I haven't seen any of that, like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Punisher, Jessica Jones. Never watched any of them. Am I a fake comics fan? I don't watch TV. I don't really watch TV like that. We're just happy to get there. We'll worry about exits next postseason. I think winning a playoff series is dope. Although, if you're number 2, let me look at the Western Conference standings right quick. Although the Western Conference is like completely up in the air. I don't think these standings are going to stay the same. Kings at number 2, which means you would face the 7th seed, which currently are the Timberwolves. I feel like the Kings can easily beat the Timberwolves in a series of 7 games. But then again, was it the 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all like play-in spots? So if you end up with the Lakers in the 7 seed, or in that, if you end up in the Lakers in the 7 or 8 seed, I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. I don't remember how the standings and stuff work with the play-in now. My current feel-good comics are Joe Fixit, the Hulk book, Avengers War Across Time, The Flash, and I feel like Joshua Williams and Superman will have that same feel. Word. Let me star this comment and come back to it later. You aren't missing out, honestly. I don't like the Punisher show. Word. Blaine says, "You haven't seen any of them? You're missing out." Which of you is correct is what we got to figure out, right? Katie and Ja are out. Yeah, Ja's going to be out for like a year. I don't know how long Ja's going to be out. Where's Ja? But anyway, I don't know how long he's going to be out. And then, KD, that sucks. Like, I watched the footage of KD getting injured, and bro was just like in a layup line, like not even, like just, that sucks. I feel like basketball is just not the same when the stars aren't the stars, but I don't know. People knock LeBron for his longevity, and I think it's kind of crazy to talk about LeBron's longevity while he's also out with injury. But seeing like how many stars get injured and have injuries for such a long period of time or repeatedly have injuries, I feel like that should make you appreciate LeBron's longevity more. Like that shouldn't be a knock against him, like being able to stay healthy because apparently it's very hard to stay healthy. Anyway, Daredevil's honestly a top tier comic book TV series. Word, word. Bunkmaster V, where's Ja? Kicks coming off the top ropes with the Chappelle reference. Man. Rooting for the Suns. My best friend went to school with CP3. Word, word. I I guess I should root for the Suns since Chris Paul played for Wake Forest and graduated from Winston-Salem State. Both are North Carolina schools. And I honestly I want to see Chris Paul win something, but I felt like I feel like that year when the Suns were like running the table with everybody, they should have won that year as opposed to getting mopped by the Mavericks. Was it the Mavericks? Either way, they got mopped. Basketball players are made out of glass, bro. That's how it seems. That's how it seems. Sports injuries freak me out as someone with a shoulder injury. Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to talk about sports. Like I'd never leave my office chair. But again, it just seems like it's difficult. I was just reading an article about Greg Oden, and like where he is in life now, and just recounting the sad tale that was the guy that got picked ahead of Kevin Durant in that draft. And man, like the mental space that dude was in while going through all those injuries, like how does that feel to like not be able to trust your body? Anyway, so this is an aside if I've ever seen an aside. But yeah, man, I feel like if you can stay healthy playing any sport at the highest level, especially doing so for 20 years, like that should be applauded and it shouldn't just be like a knock against you. Like, well, he just got the most points because he was there for the longest time. Vince Carter played 20 years. He's nowhere near the top of the, scoring list. Anyway, Comics Joe, at 30, the only sport I play is disc golf. I don't play any sports. I ran track as a kid, and I played like rec league basketball, but I sucked. I sucked at basketball. Like there was a very brief period where I was still among the tallest kids in my age group, somewhere between sixth and seventh grade. And I just crashed the boards. Like I was just the rebound king, but I couldn't shoot to save my life. And I did not have a good handle. I was just really good at running down the court and jumping real high and grabbing the rebound. Odin was so good when he was playing, and by all accounts was a super good dude. Sad his body fell apart. Yeah, man. I I hated it for him just reading that article. Because I mean, he went to the league like when I first got to college or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna keep bringing this back to sports, I feel. Tayshawn says, "What up, everybody? What's up, Tayshawn? What's up? I hear pickleball is good. It's the poor man's tennis. I've been thinking about picking up golf. The only reason I wouldn't pick up golf is because golf is an incredibly time-consuming game, and I got two small kids and a wife. Like, I can't just be leaving all the time or being gone for those extended periods of time. But golf is fun to watch is maybe an exaggeration. It's interesting to me. It just feels like a mind game, and I like mind games. After I binge a stacked week of new comics, feels like I ran a marathon. Feels good to catch up on my fools. Word, word. Not too late to change the name to favorite feel good sports discussion. That's hilarious. Mini golf problem solved. I almost took my daughter. We did a daddy daughter date last weekend. Almost took her to a mini golf place. But Carolina was playing. Was it Duke we were playing? It wasn't Duke. It was Duke. We played Duke last week, yeah. And so we went to Chili's and watched the Carolina Duke game. They're building a Top Golf style pickleball court and bar here in Charlotte. Word. You know, if it'll be built by the time Heroes Con rolls around, we might have to like hit that up. Heroes Con, mark your calendars. June 16th, 17th, and 18th. I will be there. It's the only con I'm going to this year. And yeah, that's just how that is. But Heroes Con, I plan to be in attendance. And then I'm taking a week-long vacation the week immediately following that, going to the beach with my wife. So I hate beaches, but I love my wife. And I think a vacation will be dope. So Kix is golfing now. Geez, you're really trying to continue that nice young man status you hit your mom with when you became a business analyst, huh? That's hilarious. Do I fill out a March Madness bracket? I don't watch any other team enough to really care about the bracket. I do fill one out though, and Carolina wins it every year on my bracket. That's gonna suck if we don't make the tournament. I'll tell you that much. Comics are dope. Field trip if I'm DJing that weekend too. Word. So anyway, there was one thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into tonight's discussion, and that is, of course, I don't like sand, dog. I don't like sand. I don't like having my toes out. I don't like filth. I don't like crowds. There's a lot of reasons I don't like the beach. But sand is chief among those reasons. Anyway, comic book review of the week, because I did not pick up my polls just yet, but I did just spend the $3.50 or whatever it was to buy Static Shadows of Dakota issue number 2. I bought that digitally via Amazon Comixology just so I could read it on release day 1. And of course, I didn't prepare by like downloading the thumbnail and putting it up into StreamYard. So let's open this up real quick. Nick Draper Ivy's getting better at covers, I should say. But anyway, Static Shadows of Dakota, issue number 2, aka Static season 2, number 2. Without spoiling anything, look at the way this opens. Like something out of like a horror movie. Like the worst part of X-Men, X2. I don't remember which one. But just some crazy body horror stuff. Somebody's out here kidnapping bang babies, torturing them, taking them to the limits of their powers, trying to, recreate or figure out what makes them tick. And so that's that, right? And then we get Static mentoring young Curtis. I think his name is Curtis. This kid that he's mentoring. Maybe it's not Curtis. What's the kid's name? Anyway, he's mentoring this young kid. And so you get like some nice heartfelt moments between him and the kid that he's mentoring. This is probably my favorite page in the book. Not because it's super dynamic or crazy or anything, but they're at a video arcade, which the fact that arcades exist in this world is amazing. But they're at a video arcade and you're seeing them through the inside of the screen looking out at them. And I just thought that was cool. But anyway, you get a nice moment between Static and his mentee, and you're getting to kind of understand like how Virgil is when he's not Static. And then Static's got a jet. He's got to leave his mentee to be at the opening of his father's community center where chaos ensues. And I'll let you read how the rest of that story goes. The strengths of this issue. I liked seeing Virgil, kind of developing a bond with a mentee and, doing something with his life outside of the Static suit. I feel like in the animated series, And even to a certain extent, like in the original 90s comics, right? Like you don't see a lot of Virgil being Virgil. Like you'll see Virgil with his friends, but you don't necessarily see a lot of Virgil like trying to make an impact outside of being static. So I thought that was really cool. Um, and then also strengths of the issue, just Nick Draper Ivy on that art. Quincy, his name is Quincy, not Curtis. That makes sense. Quincy. Who else is Quincy? Omar Epson Juice's name is Quincy. GQ. Anyway, um, yeah. So Static and Quincy, I like seeing that relationship, that bond. I liked there's some like body horror, and I'm not a big horror person, but I like how like kind of freaky this makes. Like when you think about how bright and how just vibrant the Static comic is in general. It's like a very like, you know, feel good comic, if you will. But Nick has basically said, look, we're going darker with season 2. And so far he's delivered on that. Um, One knock, I didn't get like any Ebon in this issue. It's not really a knock. It's just the fact that we basically have dual threats is what's happening. So we saw the threat of Ebon in the last issue. We learned more about, our sort of main villain, like actual villain in this issue. Um, but I was just kind of hoping to see a little bit more Ebon. I'm waiting for him to just come in and just like take over the book because he's going to. Strengths. So yeah, just some of the crazy like body horror imagery. And like I said, I showed you that opening page. I don't want to show too much just because I don't want to spoil it. But really like seeing how far the villain is willing to go, like and how much he's putting these bang babies through that he's capturing. I'm just like, oh, like the threat is real. I liked that. Um, and then there's also a moment here between Static and his sister that I thought was really dope. And then of course, eventually it's time for some action. And so we got some action. If I have to have a knock on this issue, um, the art is sloppier than it was in issue 1. There are points where it just straight up feels rushed. Um, and so yeah, yeah, like how like I don't know how much you guys read issue or season 1 or issue 1 of season 2. But there were times where I looked at season or Shadows of Dakota issue 1 and I was like, yo, like how did he do that? Where it just looked like a straight up movie, right? On this one, I can't even lie. Like I was looking at some pages and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Procreate. And I feel like I shouldn't be able to like tell how the sausage is made. Like I should be able to kind of know in the back of my head, like, oh yeah, he's using Procreate, but still be like, how how does he do that in Procreate? This is amazing. Um, but you know, all in all, the story was good. I think the points that needed to be detailed and really like done well are. Um, but yeah, I can't even lie. The art did feel rushed in some areas. Um, so I'd have to give it a knock for that. Is that doesn't quite pack the same punch as issue 1 from the art standpoint. But again, the story is great. The parts that need to be like done well are done well. I'm waiting for issue 3 to really blow me away. But all in all, I'm still enjoying the series. I'll give this like a solid 7.5 out of 10. And really the knock is just the way the art feels rushed at points. Story's really good. I love where it's going. I'm absolutely still on the hook for it. So those are my thoughts for Static Shadows of Dakota issue number 2. Haven't picked up my physical copies yet, but I got 3 of them on the way. I was able to get cover A, cover B, and the 1 in 25. And I'm always glad if I can get a ratio without going to eBay and all that. So yeah, man. So since we talked about the review of the week, there was some news that some of you guys in the chat have already picked up on. So this week in the news, I don't want to stick on it too long, but we got another new static comic announced, and let's hope that they actually put a link to the article on the DC homepage. Of course they didn't, because why would they do that? That would make too much sense, wouldn't it? I think it's blog.dc.com. dc.com/blog. All right. I guess I'm going to have to go to Twitter where everybody announced it and then pull it up that way so I can show you. Gosh, DC does not make things easy for themselves ever. It's almost like they're trying to sabotage things. Why would they do such things? But while I pull up the article, Static is getting a new one-shot issue featuring Anansi. If you watch the Static Shock animated series, there is an episode in season 3, I believe it's season 3, where Static goes to Africa. That's definitely season 3. It's the same season where he meets up with Batman for the first time. But anyway, they've announced a one-shot called Static Team Up Anansi #1. And it's a sort of flashback story. It takes place between seasons 1 and 2. Now that I finally have it pulled up, I'll share my screen. So here we go. Major superhero from the animated Static Shock series making their official DC Comics debut in a one-shot releasing in June. So Static Team Up Anansi #1 is a new one-shot written by Evan Narcisse. Evan Narcisse did the story in DC Power where Detroit was being gentrified, and it was a I can't remember the guy's name, but that's the story. He also did the history of the Black Panthers backups in the Wakanda series recently, and all this stuff that's written right here. But anyway, shot between the events of Static Season 1 and Static Shadows of Dakota, the fan favorite African superhero pays a visit to Dakota to investigate a supernatural disturbance. Anansi soon finds out he's going to need Static's help in exploring the occult side of the Milestone universe. So I do like that this is going to be kind of an inverse of that famous animated series episode, where instead of Static going to Africa, Anansi's coming here to Dakota. This is the cover A by Nicholas Draper Ivy. I like this cover A. This is the cover B by Natasha Bustos, who did the history of the Black Panthers art, which Evan Narcisse wrote. I like this as well. I don't like either of these quite as much as I like this, though. This is the 1 in 25 variant by Edwin Gallman, featuring Anansi, who, among many powers, is the ability to sort of project clone images of himself all over the place. So that's just a fire cover, and it shows off that ability quite well. In second place, though, is definitely the cover A by Nicholas Draper Ivy. I feel like Nick is getting better at cover composition than he's been in the past. Which is not a knock. It's just to say that he was good before and he's better now. So, yeah, man. Yeah. He kind of looks a bit like Zorro. Yeah, I think he's kind of inspired by Zorro a bit. Anybody remember the hangout where that got taken down because BJ had a movie playing in the background? It wasn't a movie. I had Superman the animated series playing on this TV on mute, and I just thought it was a cool background. And I quickly found out that Warner Brothers wants their money. I'm eager to see how Ridley's Black Panther wraps up. I'm digging that run more than most, but it's weird that both John Ridley's books wrapped up quickly at the same time. Did they lose faith in him? I don't know. I know anecdotally that, not just anecdotally, I know for a fact that I Am Batman's not selling well at any of the shops that I go to. Like the shop that I frequent, the shop that I have my pull list at, they're a network of 5 stores, and none of those 5 stores were selling more than like 3 copies of I Am Batman. Um, and 2 of those were to subscribers, of which I was one of those subscribers. So I mean, it could be that DC just like, all right, let's cut our losses, let's trim the fat. You know, the series isn't performing well. Let's cut it at 18. Um, and then mark that. And then with Black Panther, I don't know what, why his run is ending. It did feel like Ridley was trying to tell a story that was like gonna be told over the long haul, but I don't know. I can't speculate to stuff like that. I don't know anybody on in DC editorial that could answer that question, or Marvel editorial, excuse me, that could answer that question as to why John Ridley's off that title. I could speculate its sales, I could speculate its fan reception, but when did fan reception ever like determine anything, right? Except the Snyder cut. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I'm not really enjoying the John Ridley run. I can't even lie to you. It's not so much that it's bad. It's not written badly or poorly. It's just I don't like the story. Hydra says his LCS said they typically only order 2 of the I Am Batman books. I'm not reading it for the record. Well, there's nothing to be read at this point. Issue 18 came out a few weeks ago, and that series is done. All the way done. I'm going to take myself off screen for a second here. All right. And now I'm back on screen. But yeah, I Am Batman's done. And I did a whole video about how I felt like it was a waste of time. So with that being said, that was the only news I really wanted to cover today. Something else that I feel like, oh, so Philip Kennedy Johnson did confirm that he is doing an ongoing, doing 2 things at once. Philip Kennedy Johnson did confirm that he's doing an ongoing John Stewart book that's going to be, announced and solicited later this year. There was some confusion. I was one of those people that was confused because they just announced that there's a new Hal Jordan book and there were John Stewart backup stories. And what I thought was that all we were getting were the John Stewart backup stories. But there's going to be a Hal book and a John book. Now, what I'm curious to see is where the John book takes place, like just in canon, and if they're going to throw out everything that my man Jeff Thorne just did to level John up. They're going to act like it never happened, or they're going to say like, oh yeah, that still happened, but after all this happened. And yes, he is also doing the new Hulk with Nick Klein. That's an announcement that was made this week. Every time I hear the name John Stewart, I think of the philosopher, not going to lie. Word. I know there was a philosopher named John Stewart. Unless you're talking about the comedian, who I wouldn't consider a philosopher. I just call him the former host of The Daily Show. I heard Michael B. Jordan is a producer to the milestone upcoming movie. Do you think he could play someone? If so, who? Certainly wouldn't be Static. I don't necessarily need Michael B. Jordan in a Static movie. The first thought I have, though, is depending on how young they play the look of Static, maybe Michael B. Jordan could be Larry, the jock friend who gives Static the gun um, that make him go out to the Big Bang. That's a strong maybe. Our Burrow Snake says that he could be Hardware. Huh. See, Larry Wade, that's what I said. Huh. I'm not necessarily mad at Michael B. Jordan as Hardware, although I like Jonathan Majors more for Hardware. But there's also a case to be made for Jonathan Majors as Icon. But I like Jonathan Majors as Hardware. Speaking of MBJ, it's hilarious and excellent trades that Kari Randolph was like, yes, we did model the main character after him. Yes, absolutely. They did not mince words. Like Kari was like, yeah, we wanted this to look like, oh snap, like this could be a movie starring him. Which, I mean, that dude looks just like him. I was just looking at I was watching a video about it, about excellence. Nah, Majors is MCU at this point. You can be more than one place, right? Right? Like, how long is he gonna be Kang? Kang. He could be Icon. Majors is Icon. I feel you. But yeah, so now that we spent 37 minutes talking about other things, we can finally get to tonight's topic, which is, what are your favorite feel-good books? Like I said, I have had a rough is putting a lot on it. It's just been a busy week. And it's one of those weeks where I like getting to my pull list could feel like a chore in and of itself. Like, oh, I got to make sure I'm caught up on here, caught up there. And what I find myself wanting to do is I got to stop like laying on the back of my throat when I'm talking, because it irritates it. But anyway, what I find myself wanting to do is just read a book that just is fun. And so some of my favorite feel-good books. Oh, define a feel-good book. That's a great place to start, right? So for me, a feel-good book could just be something that like you just enjoy. Maybe it's your favorite character. Like, what's, for me, when I say feel-good, it's like, what character or stories do you gravitate to when you just kind of want to reset yourself, recenter yourself, and maybe just enjoy what you enjoy about comics, right? So it's not necessarily that it can't be a horror book or a wrestling book or anything like that. But it's just, what are those books that you read when it's just like, you know what? I just want to enjoy a book real quick. Yeah, that's definitely not getting spotlighted on the screen, Joe. But like this, maybe a departure book is a thing, right? But like this Good Boy, this is a book I've never read, if I'm honest with you, written by Garrett Gunn and Christina Blanche with art by Kit Wallace. But this is one of those books where it's like there's no heavy continuity to look at. It's just a dog grieving his owner, running around killing people, which is insane. It is an insane concept. It is inverse John Wick, right? But something like this is like, okay, I can just read this, enjoy it, and then I'm back to, if I want to like go back to my pull list or whatever. A lighthearted book. Exactly. I think a feel-good story to me is a lighthearted book. Yeah. So, for example, today I started reading more, like getting caught up on Monkey Prince. And Monkey Prince is just such a good like just fun book. I didn't feel like I needed to read years of, you know, Monkey King Chinese lore. It was just a book that was fun and funny. Like I read issue either 8 or 9 over again. I think it was 8. And it's Monkey Prince and Aquaman, and he's just like calling him a mermaid the whole issue. And so every couple of panels, there's like a new Little Mermaid joke that Monkey Prince is levying at Aquaman. And it was just funny to me. And I was like, this is great. Right. Like I could see myself picking up the trade of Monkey Prince and just reading it from time to time. Some other like just good lighthearted stories. I agree, Dairy Bandit. One of those is Flash. Outside of the 1 minute war, I agree. Outside of the 1 minute war, Flash, specifically since Jeremy Adams got started a couple years ago, focusing on Wally West and his family. It's just been a good feel good book, a good lighthearted read. And yeah, Joshua Williamson's Superman does feel like it's going to be kind of the same thing. But yeah, when I think about feel good books, I like fun books, funny books, books that could be like a real quick, like 1 to 2 issue story arcs, nothing like epic and like weighty feeling. OG Static, like the 1993 series, for me, fits that bill. I like reading old Static issues for that reason. Um, what else do I like to read? Believe it or not, DC still puts out Looney Tunes and Scooby Doo comics. I pick up a lot of those, and I like to. I read a lot of like YA or young reader aimed books. Those are some of my favorites to just kind of detach. I'm from Dade says Bone by Jeff Smith. My man Kev says, not a specific book, more of a time frame. Books I read when I was in elementary or middle school is what I'll pick up. That makes sense. That makes sense. Comics Joe says, Deadpool books are really fun. Sometimes I get annoyed by Deadpool. Deadpool is kind of taking over X Force right now by Benjamin Percy. And I feel just as annoyed by Deadpool as Wolverine feels at times. New strip books are good for picking up spirits. For me, those are Calvin and Hobbes and Boondocks. I have a couple different collected editions of both. Word. Hydra says, I actually really love how fun Gunslinger Spawn is to read at the moment. I was enjoying that too. Furred Bird the Nerd with the $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. I much appreciate it. Says, happy Thursday, man. Glad I caught the live. I'm glad you caught it live too. I really am. Did you see that Scooby-Doo DC crossover movie that got leaked online? It was written off as a tax loss for some reason. I did not see that. I did not see that. Spider-Man should be a lighthearted book, but Spider-Man has lost his identity here lately. Agreed. Although I really love Miles Morales right now. Wendy's, yes, sir. Yeah, Wendy's has a 2 for $6 meal. Not to be a Wendy's commercial, but I went and got a single cheeseburger and I got my daughter the 10-piece nuggets and all that for $6 works for me. And then of course I got this huge vanilla Coke. Yeah, current Miles stuff seems pretty lighthearted. Word. Let's see. Now I'm just looking around. Like what else? I read a lot of Batman, and Batman can get dark. But some of the stuff I like to read, like it's just like an aside. I love reading like old issues of like Brave and the Bold. Also Legends of the Dark Knight. Like I like a good 1-2 issue story arc. Those are great. Yeah, everything everything else that I read is generally in some like huge epic, right? I'm looking at my X-Men shelf. Like that's not the place to look for like a quick detach from the rest of the pull list type thing. The Reckless books, I wouldn't necessarily consider them feel good books, but I read them when I want to just kind of read a quick story. Um, Darkwing Duck, yes, is absolutely a feel good book. I've got this Disney Afternoon collection over there on the indie shelf. Um, and yeah, that's probably my list. So as far as ongoing issues, things that are coming out right now, it's definitely Flash. Flash is one of those that I just love. Um, Flash, Monkey Prince, which is just ended this week. Monkey Prince did. Superman for sure. Um, and Miles Morales. Those are probably off the top of my head. Those are the indies I can think of. I do like Turtles. I do like Turtles. But honestly, as of late, IDW Turtles hasn't really been doing it for me. Um, but I like to go back and read the deluxe editions. I fell off Monkey Prince. Yeah, I fell off when it got roped into Lazarus Planet. So I'm just now rereading those issues. I'm on issue 10 right now. It's honestly still just as good as it was. I'm kind of mad I let myself get psyched away from the series. But it's funny. It's still funny. Got real serious in that last story arc, though. Can't even lie. She was 9, 10, 11, 12. A little bit more serious than the other two, but still, they're good because Marcus is confident in his powers. And so he's like the wise, cracking Monkey Prince. Dairy Bandit says the original Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle run is a great feel-good read. I couldn't put it down. Lazarus Planet was super weird. I haven't read Lazarus Planet, which is why I'm behind on Monkey Prince. Current Fantastic Four is not that hard to follow. Small arcs, always a breath of fresh air. Yes, that is the truth. That is the truth. Hydrus. Someone is agreeing with you, but I don't know what they're agreeing with. Kaiju Score was a fun and quick read. My man Bunkmaster B swears by Kaiju Score. Did you pick up Old School Battle Chasers? Nope. I don't even know what Battle Chasers is. It was quite good. Monkey Prince was the best part of Lazarus, in my opinion. Lazarus Planet was legit. I did like it, but yeah, weird. That Over by Frank Miller is always a fun read to me. I am suddenly like being overtaken by a cold. So this hour might turn into 55 minutes real quick. Let me full screen this random Google search real quick. Because, man, I'll tell you what. The perfect bookend to an already like busy and stressful week is not succumbing to a common cold. Succumbing is probably not the right word. I think that's the word they use when you die of an illness. I'm certainly not going to die of the common cold. But coming down with a cold at the end of an already like whack week, that's just the icing on top of the whackness cake. I'll tell you that much. Comics Joe says, I'm reading The Last Ronin and it's darn good. Just reading an issue a day because I don't want it to end. Listen, man, if you were reading it when it came out, it felt like it was never going to end because it felt like it was never going to come out. Those 5 issues took a good 2 years to release. I don't know why, but they did. Like it started during the pandemic and ended like after the pandemic was over. Like what? Go play whack-a-mole. Furburr says, go Tar Heels, my dream school after Montross and the Michigan Fab Five timeout. Oh, man. So I was at the Carolina and NC State game about a month ago. The game where Terquavion Smith, like, I don't know, cracked his arm or something. I don't know what he did, but he was laid out on the court for like 15 minutes. It was scary. But anyway, at that game, they were honoring the 1993, 1992, 93 championship team. And the in-game announcer, or the in-arena announcer dude made a timeout reference that was just perfect. It was great. It was great. Hardcover The Last Ronin is beautiful, and the paper quality is so good. I agree. I agree. Actually, 1 second. Gotta love it when your shelves are organized and you like know where things are. But yeah. Yeah. Great paper quality. Let me not go all the way to the end of the book. How about that? In case you haven't read it. It's good. And yeah, man. I think I'm about to call it. Honestly. I am man. I am it's going down. I'm going downhill. It was already a whack week. I'm asking for feel good pick me up stuff. Now I'm gonna like be sitting and reading these feel good pick me up comics with a bowl of chicken soup next to me. The Last Ronin is legendary. The hardcover is a special place in my heart because I got it on one of the worst days of my life. It brought me so much joy. Also, how I discovered my LCS. Yo, I love a good origin story, man. I appreciate you letting me know what that book means to you. That's what comics are about, man. And that's what this specific episode of the Hangout is about. Books that pick you up when you're down, like Casey and JoJo. So yeah, Last Ronin. I'm gonna read this now again because it means that much to Hydrus. Not man down. Bowl of chicken. Okay, God, that's disgusting. See, you got it. That's great. That's great. Anything all red is a good time. I've not read any all red stuff. He's the one that does like the Exterminators and the Ecstatics and all that. I haven't read it. I see his art style though. We need you to settle the debate. As a Tar Heel fan and also LeBron fan, who is the GOAT, LeBron or MJ? Oh, is that why Skip said take your time? For me, LeBron is my favorite player. But I'm old enough to appreciate LeBron and remember Michael Jordan. Like, I saw Michael Jordan play in person when I was like 6, and it was like the greatest day of my life. I remember going to New York for the summer. Me and my 2 cousins all went to the barbershop and skinned our heads bald to be like Michael Jordan. And I begged my mother for an earring. Like, I never wanted to be LeBron. I wanted to be Michael Jordan. And that era is just unmatched. It's just unmatched. And the way Michael Jordan was like just dominant, and you felt like the Bulls were going to win every single game as long as that man was on the court. I don't always feel that way with LeBron. And so for those reasons, MJ's still the GOAT to me. But when it's all said and done, LeBron's my favorite player ever. And that's a weird balance, but it's just what it is. MJ's number 2 on my personal Mount Rushmore, but I still acknowledge him as the greatest. There's just, you had to be there. And I was there. So I cried in 98 watching the All-Star game. MJ said he was retiring, like ugly cry sobbed. Yo, man, I was just watching a highlight video of Michael Jordan ball fakes and him just palming a ball and like just doing all of this with the ball and faking defenders. Like, he was just on a different level. There are so many aspects of Jordan's game that are underappreciated, which is crazy to say because I feel like as good as Jordan was, he gets overhyped by a lot of media people. But even that, even with his like overhyped status in certain areas, in certain ways, there are still things we don't talk about that were like just amazing. Like just amazing. Yeah, man, MJ's a GOAT. Plus, I don't own a single pair of LeBrons. I had a wall of sneakers behind me. I don't own a single pair of LeBrons. So when you talk about like the cultural mystique, all that, yeah, man. Yeah. But look, man, I'm coming down with a cold. And I'm gonna end this stream before I start like snotting on camera. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate those of you who super chatted and all that. And look, man, I don't know what you're reading this week. Hopefully something that makes you feel good. Hopefully something dope. Peace.